why mindfulness has transformed my life. So what is mindfulness? Let's start with that. When you're being mindful, you're not thinking in your head, you're more so out here in the external world. Now, the first time I read about this concept, I was fascinated by it. I remember being at the gym. This is my first real experience with it. And I was lifting weights. And I remember I had to do like 10 repetitions of something. I was on like repetition number 3. And the only thing I was thinking about was getting to repetition number 10. I wasn't in the moment. All I was thinking about was like, oh my God, I need to get to number 10. And it was just bringing about anxiety. This is what happens when you think too much, you bring about anxiety in your life. And now as a human, you're gonna think quite a lot no matter what you do. Don't get me wrong, mindfulness is not like a magic formula. It's gonna stop you from thinking all the time or whatever. Your brain is gonna think a lot. But with mindfulness, when you practice mindfulness, you start thinking less and start being more present with the moment and start living life here instead of in here. So what happened was when I started practicing this idea of mindfulness, instead of thinking about repetition number 10 when I was at the gym, like essentially thinking about when is this going to be over as I'm lifting, I was thinking about how my muscles are contracting. I was thinking about how my bicep is moving every single time I make a movement, which was causing me to stay present to the moment. I was thinking, oh, how does this happen? Let me give you another example so you guys really get this concept. Right now, as I'm doing this video, I can't think about anything. I'm just saying whatever comes to my mind. Right now, all I'm focused on is this phone in front of me. How beautiful it is, the sides of the phone. I'm looking at myself in the phone, image of myself in my phone. I'm looking at the white hairs I have in my beard. I'm examining mindfully the things that are in front of me. Maybe you're looking at a chair, you're looking at a couch. Look at the couch, look at the design on the couch. When you're looking at the design on the couch, you can't be thinking about what's going on in your head. This is what people do when they look at, like, for example, people that are like really into art, let's say, for example, they're looking at the art. They're looking at every little detail of the art. And why do they feel so amazing about it? Because they're examining it mindfully. They're really taking it in, and it's causing them to be outside of their head. They're not thinking in that moment. They're really immersed into what's happening. That's what mindfulness is. Let's use some very simple examples of how you can practice mindfulness at home. Now, you practice mindfulness without realizing it, by the way, when you're watching TV that's captivating you. Let's say you are watching your favorite show and it's so intriguing to you. You are so mindful in that moment, meaning you're not thinking about anything. You're so in the present moment because that show has just really hooked you. It's captured you. Maybe it's sports for you. You watch sports and you realize like 2 hours later, you're like, I haven't even thought about anything. I'm so consumed by what's happening. Those are examples of how you get sucked into mindfulness, and it's a beautiful thing. But then when you shut the TV off and you start thinking in your head again and you get anxious again. So how can you be mindful without the distraction of a TV, let's say, or the distraction of video games or looking at art or whatever the distraction is? How can you be mindful in the everyday kind of dull moments in life? And they call this a practice for a reason, guys, because you're not going to be perfect or anywhere near perfect doing this. But the more you practice this, the more your brain is training to stop thinking as much and start being more in tune with the present moment and what's happening around you and your surroundings. A simple example is you walk to the kitchen to get a glass of water. Let's just use that. Now, usually a lot of people will get that glass of water and they'll be thinking about something else. Like, what am I going to do later today? What do I have to do next? What did I do this morning? Instead of doing that, as you're walking, try this. Feel the heel of your feet hitting the ground. Feel your knees as you walk. Get to the sink. The sensations of your hands opening the water. Get your glass. Feel how it feels on your hand as you're getting your glass. And the water's coming into the glass. Just watch it, just filling up the glass. I think you see where I'm going with this. You're examining all those little things that you never pay attention to because you're always in your head thinking. Maybe you're eating dinner and you're just savoring every single bite that you take. That's another form of mindfulness. Anything can be turned into mindfulness as long as you're really just exceptionally paying attention to the details and the feelings of the things that are in your surroundings. That's what mindfulness is. It's being out here in the present moment and making sure you're out there by focusing on those things that are in front of you. Maybe you touch a chair. I'm touching a chair in front of me. You can't see it right now. But what I'm focusing on when I'm touching this chair is how my hand feels against this chair. Try that. Go touch a couch and be like, just feel how your hand feels against that chair. Move the chair, feel your hand moving the chair. This is practicing mindfulness. Usually what would happen is you would move that chair and you wouldn't think for a second about how it feels on your hand. You wouldn't think for a second about how that feeling changes when you tuck the chair in because you're thinking about something else. But if you're mindful, you're very focused on exactly what's happening in that present moment. And trust me, the more you practice this, the more you practice mindfulness and trying to stay in the present moment, the better it's gonna feel. But this is not an exact science, guys. You can't always be in mindfulness. Your brain is gonna take over from time to time. You gotta be realistic here. You are not going to get to a place where you're just always immersed in your environment and you're never thinking in your head and you're never anxious and all this stuff. It's just you get better. You get better with practice, trying to stay in the present moment more often than not. This is a work in progress for your whole life. Anytime you feel like you're thinking too much, try to practice some mindfulness. Try to see what's around you. Try to interact with what's around you. Try to feel it. Try to touch it. Try to be in that moment. And you'll see that more you kind of remind yourself to practice mindfulness throughout your days, the better you're gonna feel. So best of luck with you. And if you guys have any questions or anything about this topic, drop it in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.